It was just past midnight when Officer Daniels spotted the black sedan gliding smoothly along the nearly empty stretch of road. There was nothing unusual about the vehicle, no broken taillight, no swerving, no reason to stop it. But in Daniels' eyes, the driver was enough reason. A black man, alone, in a nice car he shouldn't have been able to afford. To Daniels, it was the perfect opportunity. With a flick of his wrist, he hit the siren. Red and blue lights lit up the quiet night, bouncing off the sedan's polished surface. The car slowed, turned onto the shoulder, and came to a gentle stop. Daniel stepped out of his cruiser with the kind of swagger that came from years of unchecked authority. The driver rolled down his window, hands resting calmly on the steering wheel. His face was calm, his demeanor respectful. "Good evening, officer," he said evenly. His voice was deep, steady, and strangely self-assured. Daniels didn't return the courtesy. He leaned down, flashlight in hand, shining it directly into the man's eyes. "License and registration," he barked. The driver nodded, moving slowly, deliberately, so there could be no accusation of sudden movements. He retrieved his wallet, pulled out his license, and reached into the glove box for the registration. Daniels snatched the documents from him, giving them only the briefest glance before tossing them onto the roof of the car. "You know why I pulled you over?" Daniels asked. "No, officer," the man replied. His tone was polite but unwavering. Daniels smirked. "Figures. Step out of the car." There was no reason, no probable cause, but Daniels didn't care. This wasn't about the law. This was about control. The driver obeyed silently, stepping out of the car and standing tall beside it. Daniels could feel the eyes of the man on him, not fearful, not pleading, just steady. It irritated him. He wanted to see panic. As Daniels walked toward the car, he glanced back. The driver hadn't moved, hadn't even shifted his weight. It annoyed Daniels further. He opened the door and leaned into the car, his flashlight beam sweeping across the seats and floor. Of course, he found nothing, but that was never the plan. With a practiced motion, he slipped a small plastic bag from his pocket and shoved it into the glove compartment, tucking it halfway under the car manual. His lips curled into a grin. Another bust, another report to pad his record, another way to remind men like this who held the power. He slammed the glove compartment shut and marched back to the driver. With mock surprise, he held up the bag. "Well, well, well," he drawled. "What do we have here?" Gasps rippled from a couple of bystanders who had begun to gather at a distance, drawn by the flashing lights. Daniels enjoyed the drama. "Possession with intent," he announced loudly. "That's a serious charge." The driver didn't flinch. His eyes rested on the officer, calm as ever. "Are you sure you want to do this?" he asked quietly. Daniels laughed. "Do what? Enforce the law? You people never learn, do you?" His voice dripped with contempt as he waved the bag like evidence in a courtroom. "This is going to stick. Your life just changed forever." But the driver didn't plead or argue. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, almost as if studying Daniels. Then, slowly and deliberately, he reached into his jacket pocket. Daniels's hand shot to his holster, but the man moved with calm precision, pulling out a black leather badge holder. He flipped it open, and the gold emblem inside gleamed under the harsh headlights. For a moment, Daniels thought his eyes were deceiving him. The seal of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, but not just any credentials. His gaze fell on the title printed boldly at the top. Director. The world seemed to freeze. The hum of the cruiser's engine, the faint buzz of the overhead street lamp, even the curious murmurs of the onlookers, all of it faded into silence. Daniels's smug grin evaporated. His throat went dry. The man's voice was calm, almost gentle, but his words cut sharper than any shout. "Officer Daniels," he said, "I've been aware of corruption in this department for some time now. Officers planting evidence, targeting drivers based on the color of their skin. abusing their power. Tonight, you've proven the reports right. Daniels stammered. I don't know what you mean. That's not mine. I didn't. But the director raised a hand, silencing him. Save it. You've just committed a federal crime, and you did it in front of witnesses. He gestured toward the bystanders, many of whom had their phones out, cameras recording every moment. Daniels's knees felt weak. His career, his badge, his freedom. They all flashed before his eyes, slipping away in an instant. The director stepped closer, his presence commanding yet composed. The badge you wear is supposed to represent justice. Instead, you've turned it into a weapon, and now you'll answer for it. Daniel's voice cracked. Please. I didn't mean, but the director was already turning back toward his car. He opened the door, sliding into the driver's seat with an ease that came from knowing he held the real authority. He didn't need to raise his voice. His calm was power enough. As he started the engine, he glanced once more at Daniels, who now stood pale and trembling under the flashing lights. Here's the truth, officer, he said. When you abuse your power, you never know who's watching. And tonight, it was me. With that, the car pulled smoothly onto the road, the headlights cutting through the darkness. The bystanders watched in stunned silence before their whispers rose into a murmur. FBI director. Did you see his badge? That cop is finished. Daniels remained rooted to the spot, the plastic bag of drugs still clutched uselessly in his hand. His world had collapsed in seconds, the power he thought he had exposed for the illusion it was. And he knew, deep down, that this night would follow him forever. Not as the night he caught a criminal, but the night he became one. The message lingered in the air, carried on the hum of the retreating engine. When you twist justice into cruelty, when you use authority as a weapon instead of a shield, the fall will always be harder than the climb. And in that moment, Officer Daniels learned a truth he could never unlearn. The law catches everyone in the end, even those who think they stand above it.